Can you engage that person? Well, I have to tell you something. As a seasoned combat veteran, I know that that person is not up there bird watching. But yet we have gotten to the point where we are putting our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines in positions where they cannot take the initiative, where they have to fight reactively. And when they fight reactively, you see what happens. They lose their lives, and the enemy continues to exploit. We find ourselves in the situation we're in the United States of America because we are confused. We don't understand that this is a combat operation. This is not a police action. This is not a thing where it's dragnet over in Iraq or Afghanistan. That is not a circumstance where we need to have our soldiers come up and provide evidence. If you cannot take the word of an American combat soldier that this is a bad person and this person needs to be taken off the streets, this is not about detaining. This is about imprisoning them, and they don't get to come back out until they quit or they give up. That's the bottom line with combat. It is about imposing your will upon another, and that's not what we are doing. It is not about what you see happening in Afghanistan, where a tribal leader or father can walk up with a piece of paper and say, I pledge that my son will not go back and join with the Taliban. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If it's good enough for an Afghan tribal leader or father, it's good enough for Scott Behenna to do the exact same thing for his son up there. Right. It's good enough for all the fathers that are here to say, you turn my son back over to me just the same as you're doing in Afghanistan. It is about realizing that we cannot continue on with these convoluted orders, not understanding truly what are the goals and objectives that we have our men and women over there in these combat operations for. It's about simply 5 things. You find the enemy. You fix them in position where they cannot maneuver. You engage them, you destroy them, and you pursue them. And until we have combat leaders that can go and articulate that, we will continue to have young men that go out and they don't understand their mission. They don't understand what they're being told to do. But even worse, you have leaders that will not step up and take responsibility for giving them misinformation or bad guidance or bad objectives. It also comes down to this. You can't have political correctness on the battlefield. You cannot sacrifice our young men and women for political correctness. You know, this past week, John Walker Lynn had the ACLU file a petition for him because they felt his rights were being violated because he did not have the opportunity to go with his prayer rug and pray with other Muslim prisoners. Well, let me tell you something about John Walker Lynn. He probably should have been hung. Because here's an American that took up arms against American soldiers. That, from what I understand, is called treason. Yep. That, from what I understand, is a traitor. But out of the benevolence of who we are, we did allow him to keep his life. But I really don't care what happens to John Walker Lynn in prison. Because as you just heard, we have our own men and women in confinement, solitary confinement. But yet we have the ACLU concerned about what's going on with John Walker Lynn. We have the ACLU and all of these other groups going down to Gitmo and making sure that these guys get gourmet meals and have their opportunity to go out and enjoy the Cuban sunshine and the nice sea breezes. How many times have you seen the ACLU or any of these other groups to go and make sure that the men and women that we're imprisoning here in Leavenworth, these 10 individuals, are protected and taken care of? There is something upside down in this country right now.